I'd like to call to order the Municipality of Monroeville's Citizens Night for December 7th, 2017. If we'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening I'm sitting in for Mayor Aracinko, sitting in as Deputy Mayor. He is representing Monroeville at the county level this evening. All other council members are present. So we're going to open up our Citizens Night for December 7th. We are going to have a five-minute comment period each. If we could please hold for the 5 minutes, that'd be great to keep the meeting moving forward. If anyone is signed in, you can approach the podium.
Mr. Mayor, council people, my name is Jay Wright.
Live in Monroeville.
Thanks, Jay.
I have a couple questions. The first one, I guess, concerns Mr. Ratcher. I'd like to know why we settled with geokinetics.
The reason we settled is because I felt it was in the municipality's best interest, given that there was a lot of risk involved in going to a hearing and having a finding in favor of geokinetics and essentially having them testing with no regulations whatsoever, which there was a high probability that would happen.
Why?
Well, because they came into us and requested the right to seismic tests before we had an ordinance. So the ordinance would not apply to them.
Sir, we have an ordinance on the books for a weight limit on the roads in Monroeville.
The weight limit's a separate issue.
Well, but we have an ordinance on the books that was a long time ago.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what you're asking me.
Why not?
Because the weight limit's irrelevant. If there's a weight limit road they can't go onto, that's fine. But with respect to that ordinance did nothing with weight limits. Does nothing with weight limits.
I disagree, but that's
Okay, well, we'll disagree.
That's part of life.
Yeah.
Second thing I'd like to know, when did we ratify this, or when did council approve this?
We're going to ratify it tonight.
Well, when did council approve it?
Council essentially approved it, or there was a meeting of the minds on going ahead with it.
When?
Probably around the 22nd of November.
Was there an advertised meeting?
No.
Did I miss something?
No.
I thought according to the Home Rule Charter, you're supposed to have a meeting to approve anything that council votes on. Or
We're going to vote on it tonight, and if it's not passed, then it's not effective.
But we already said we approved it.
It's a nullity if council doesn't approve it.
Okay. I disagree with that too, okay.
Okay.
Third thing I want to bring up, I guess we're talking about a controlled burn in Monroeville, over by my house. A Dr. Aziz has donated a house with asbestos shingles to the fire department if they would burn it, which I have objections with for a lot of reasons. One is, we have a burn ordinance in Monroeville too. I don't understand how we can burn something when we have a no burn ordinance in Monroeville. If I go in my backyard and take a garbage or drum and burn it, I can be fined. Well, isn't burning a house worse than burning a garbage drum? Just curious.
Well, I'll jump back into the pool here.
Go right ahead.
The burning is really regulated by Allegheny County, the Department of Health.
I know, we talked to
the Department of Health has regulations where you can apply for a burn permit to burn. So they apply to the county. If the county essentially permits the activity, and they can put conditions on it, whatever, then they're able to burn.
Well, there already is. We've talked to the health department.
Okay.
They're too close to the apartments to burn by the rules, unless there's an exception made or something. We know that.
Okay, well then the county's probably not going to give them a permit.
Fire chiefs work together. You're the one. You know that.
I wasn't.
I can tell you.
Come on.
I can tell you that the county's very strict on that.
Yeah,
First
they
of
are,
all,
Jay.
They have to, if the county goes over there and inspects that house and there's asbestos in it, it's not going to happen unless they get it all stripped out.
Okay.
And-
If there's asbestos run, who takes care of it?
People to come in and take the asbestos out. Now, it depends on what form of asbestos. If it's just the shingles, they can get a contractor, they can do it themselves as long as they're removed and disposed of properly.
Okay, who pays for it?
The
That's on
fire
the property
company.
owner. That's totally on the property.
So
property
when
owner
he
and
gives the
fire-
house, he still has to do all that. Who cleans up afterwards?
Also on the property owner.
Property owner.
Okay.
I can tell you there's a house over near the fire academy, the same situation exists right now. And it has been stripped and, everything has been taken out of it. The health department's inspected it twice. I don't know if they've issued the permit yet, but that house has been stripped out of all things that the health department was concerned about.
Okay, I'm just against the burn because that's putting a lot of
Well,
smoke
that's
into a neighborhood.
another matter, but I just wanted to tell you about the
Okay,
asbestos.
and I appreciate it. Look, I'm not against fire departments or police departments or anything. Actually, I need all of you, and I'm glad you're here. I just don't think we should be burning a house for a homeowner that should be demolishing it and paying for it himself. Otherwise, you're setting a very bad precedent.
Well, one of the reasons why the fire department's taking advantage of when somebody like that donates something to them is because of giving the younger guys actual training. The fire academy does that to a point, but then it doesn't because it's the setup the same all the time. And so when they go into live fire, that home, they're not going to set up and light the whole thing off and just put it out. They're going to set small fires in controlled containers inside
It still puts
because
smoke up in the air, Ron.
he,
And I live right across from it.
I'm just telling you why they're doing
Oh,
it.
no, I understand, but that's why we spent a lot of money for a training center, too.
But what I'm saying to you is that it's not the same as a real situation.
Yeah, but you know what? I was a soldier. Till you get to war, they don't give you bullets to shoot people. I mean, they really don't.
It's an opportunity for them to train, that's what it is.
Yeah, but it's at the expense of the homeowners and the people living around it, which to me is really against. You guys are supposed to be for us. This is our community. This is our council lady, and you guys are supposed to all be for the people of Monroeville. Everybody up here. And if you're doing a burn, that's not for the people of Monroeville.
I don't know that there's been a permit issued yet.
I don't either, but I hope there isn't one. I would hope our council would stop it, if nothing else.
Your point's well taken, Mr. Wright.
We'll see. Thank you very much.
David Mintz.
All right. Thank you. I'd like to address some questions I have about the seismic testing situation. One is that I actually talked to you about this once before, but I want to ask you on the regular council meeting of August 8th. There, under motions number 2, there was a motion that was passed at that meeting, a motion to deny the request from Geokinetics for permission to conduct a seismograph survey, including the right of ingress and egress across the lands owned by the municipality of Monroeville. I bring this up today because I'm a little concerned in the new seismic operation agreement under Section 9, Lands, Streets, Right-of-Way, and Easements, letter A. It says, Geokinetics shall restore at its sole cost and expense all municipality-owned lands, streets, and/or rights-of-way used in connection with its energy source operations to their condition prior to the commencement of such operations. My concern is this implying, I guess my question is, the motion that was passed on August 8th, is it still in effect?
It is. That's a good question.
Okay.
And I think in going through what they were authorized to do and not do, that was in there, but municipally owned lands doesn't apply because the municipality on lands they own is like any private property owner. They can say no, and they have said no.
Okay.
So if, for instance, if they were going to come onto your land, they'd have to get you to sign an agreement with them,
Right.
provided that they don't already have the rights through somebody else. So in this case, they don't have the rights, so they will not be doing that.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. The reason I was concerned is only because, and it's good in case they did something by accident or something, that it just said on the new seismic operation agreement that they had to restore municipality-owned lands, and I thought maybe that meant now they were allowed to do it on municipality-owned lands.
No.
Okay, so good, I'm glad. So that was my first question. My second question is, in the article of November 30th, 2017 of the Times Express. There was an article, one of the subtitles of it was "Company Agrees to Comply with Most of Rules and Ordinance." There were 2 bulleted points. This is actually quoted from you. And the second one, well, the first one is, will not be allowed to, this is basically geokinetics under the settlement, will not be allowed to perform seismic testing on roads that are within 50 feet of any structures. The existing setback was 100 feet. The second one is my question about, it says, does not, geokinetics, does not have to provide pre- and post-testing inspections on municipal properties. My question is,
I think it's on any properties.
okay, so that was my question. I wanted the definition of municipal properties. My question was, essentially, does that mean structures on municipality-owned properties? Or does that mean
No, the intent was to be on all properties.
structures on all properties within the municipality of
correct,
Monroeville? So
correct.
now that includes private properties, any
Correct.
private homeowner?
Correct.
So essentially, the whole Section 6 of our ordinance that still exists for other companies other than geokinetics,
Right.
Section 6 notification, letter B, this whole paragraph about pre- and post-testing
Yes,
is null for
Correct.
geokinetics?
it is.
Okay. That seemed to be a pretty big part of our ordinance that we passed, and having canceled that, it seems like I can see, that was one of the things that I can see why geokinetics, obviously that would be something that they would not want to have to do, and that seemed like a pretty big, when I first, thing is, and just this is for everybody that's here today and everybody at home, when I read this article at first, when it said does not have to provide pre- and post-testing inspections on municipal properties, my mind went originally to, oh, that means municipality-owned properties, like this building that we're in right now. And then I started thinking about it, and that's why I'm asking you now.
No,
So
that was the chief concession, in my view anyway.
Right.
That was the chief
Right.
concession, and the reason I made it is because I felt at a very minimum, even if we went in and tried to save some of the ordinance, we'd never save that provision, because if you look in land use ordinances, there is not a single activity that you can authorize where you can compel a developer to do pre- and post-testing inspections.
Oh.
So our chance of holding on to that was nil. That was the big one.
Okay. Just to respond to what you just said, and obviously you know a lot about this. The chart that you had actually made for us, the comparison of seismic ordinance provisions, shows that
Yes.
Oakmont and South Fayette had that provision in theirs, with various. Actually, the
Yeah.
Oakmont was exactly the same as ours, and the South Fayette was a little bit different, but they did have the pre and post testing. Did that stand up for them?
Well, nobody challenged it. And, that's the distinction that I've tried to draw a couple
Right.
of times, is our ordinance was challenged.
Right.
Those folks have not had their ordinances challenged.
In court.
If they had those ordinances challenged, I am very confident that that provision would be struck down by any judge.
Okay.
Rather, whatever way he was looking at it.
Okay.
Unfortunately. We put that in there. We hoped to get them as far as they could. Initially, when I talked with Geokinetics' attorney, what they were offering to comply with was a lot less than ended up in the agreement. What really happened that was in our favor is we were able to blow some smoke up front about the whole preliminary hearing and whether they were entitled to it. Well, they thought they were going to go right in and get something. Well, then what happened is, as the time period passed, they knew they were getting towards their deadline. That's when they came back and said, we're willing to do more. And we talked back and forth, and this was a point where I felt we got it as far as we could get it. For instance, the 50 feet
Right, I was gonna
regulation
ask.
was 35.
They wanted 35.
They wanted
Okay.
35, and I said, no, that's not going to fly.
Right.
And they came back and said 50, and I felt 50 was as far as we could get them. We had that in the pre and post testing were the two biggies, and I thought it was a fair deal to eliminate all the downside risk that we had of going in there and losing, having them seismic test with no regulations,
Right.
plus possibly saddling the municipality with their legal fees and what have you.
Right.
So, and that was the reason for it.
So concerning, just to respond to that, the 50-foot replacing the 100-foot, is it the same thing for Oakmont and South Fayette, that they weren't challenged on that either? Because
Correct.
theirs
Yeah,
has the 100?
those ordinances, to my knowledge,
Yeah.
have never been challenged.
So that's why they can
Yeah.
have it right now, because they've never been challenged. Okay.
If you remember,
Yeah.
I think Huntley, they went around, they just decided, we're not going to go to Oakmont.
Right.
Probably didn't think that there was enough gas there to try to get.
It's so small, too,
Yeah.
right? Last, real quick, is the idea that, or not the idea, but the fact that you said that we were kind of in trouble with Geokinetics because they had applied for the permit before we actually enacted the ordinance, that whole
Correct.
concept. Does that also apply, because I'm a little bit more concerned, what if Huntley and Huntley, let's say, at Tuesday's meeting, the upcoming council meeting, comes in here or at any point contacts anybody on the council or Mr. Little and says, we're now applying for a permit to do drilling, unconventional drilling in Monroeville, and we haven't finished, as far as I know, we haven't finished updating our rezoning of all this. Would that then be the exact same situation?
That would be the same situation,
So we
yes.
have to hurry up and...
Well, we do,
Yeah.
and we do, and the truth is that in that situation, now, be clear, they have to come in and submit a formal application. And it has to be a complete application. They just can't come in and say, hey, we want to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Now, what if they have that already prepared and
Well, and
tomorrow
they
it's
come in,
just-
then they would be subject to the regulations we have now.
and those are the ones from like
We
10
are,
years ago?
I'll say it now
Or-
because I know the question's going to come up.
Yeah.
We'll save somebody else asking.
Okay.
What's looking now like we're going to present at the January work session, January 2nd, right? An ordinance to advertise.
Okay.
Once the ordinance is advertised, then anybody coming in would be subject to that.
Once it passes.
So we're close.
Right, we're
Yeah.
close, we're getting there. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, I appreciate your answering my question.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
There's no one else signed in at this point, but if anyone would like to sign in.
Yes.
Okay, who doesn't know my name?
State it for the record, please.
Who doesn't want to know my name? My name is Alyssa Beck. Okay, we got one hand up, Mr. Johns. Okay. I'm strolling once again in my neighborhood, Monroeville, Pennsylvania, imagining my grandchildren picking pawpaws, apples and pears from the trees in their front yards, eating berries from the raspberry bushes in their side yards, chasing butterflies, and while riding their bicycles, marveling at the abundant green rooftops and solar panels. Yes, Mr. Little, green things can grow on rooftops in Monroeville, everywhere, sharing the overloaded fruit from the trees with neighbors. We have excellent examples of green infrastructure in Monroeville, PA. We have a wonderful farmers market, a compact suburb, an amazing new bike path, mostly in the woods, and by a beautiful body of water called Turtle Creek, great houses of worship, businesses, and a wonderful school district. I want to share something that's come to me recently. I have something here that can help us connect the dots using two very recent and current examples in our municipality of Monroeville, PA. Then I'll go into what's really been going on here in Monroeville, PA, dating back maybe to 2006. Maybe it's been 25 years. I learned recently by attending the Monroeville planning meeting, the property at the corner of Route 22 and Stroshine, I think that's where it is. It was a gas station that had some delay in development recently. As the owner or the prior tenant, the gas station needed to comply with some environmental testing, remediation standards for underground leaks. The developer at the last planning meeting mentioned the lawsuit, although I don't know the details. We're concerned in our community about toxic leaks at gas station sites, as gasoline leaking into the ground pollutes groundwater that we will then drink. We're happy this remediation took place, as far as I know at least. I'm interested in the details. The second point, the second dot, was about the fire department that was brought up, authorizing a controlled burn. There's fires burning in California now. People are inhaling smoke. To do this consciously is unconscionable, in my view. Number 3 dot. The continuing Marcellus and Utica shale fracking gas play in both Monroeville and the 200 square miles slated for seismic testing and where seismic testing is already occurring, including Plum, Penn Township, Penn Hills, Upper and Lower Borough, Pitcairn, Trafford, Oakmont, North Huntington, and more communities, to be mapped underground for Marcellus and Utica shale that have the gas in western Pennsylvania, is a power of 100 order of magnitude of greater concern than this lawsuit that was happening at the gas station in Monroeville on Route 22 for some leaky underground gas tanks mentioned earlier, or the controlled burn. The infrastructure associated with fracking includes large networks of compressor stations, holding ponds, of the retrieved carcinogenic and radioactive frack water, which includes both benzene and toluene, which are volatile organic compounds that would be going into our air, injection wells, something called a pig pen. I learned Monday night it's something like a torpedo they put through the pipes to clean them out. And last but not least, pipelines under very high pressure, much more pressure than the gas lines that currently run through our town of Monroeville, Pennsylvania. We, the citizens of Monroeville, want to see all of the infrastructure-related plans for this 200 square mile area that will be impacting Monroeville. We want to see that from Huntley and Huntley before they make that first application. The gas companies classically make requests of municipalities for one piece at a time. They do it piecemeal. These single pieces do not show the whole toxic nightmare picture. We've demanded the implementation of complete protective seismic testing. Council, we thank you for listening to us at first. Then, Mr. Ratcher, we know you know the ins and outs of the gas industry and their strategies. You did not advise us about the details of the plan of the settlement before settling. You did not include the positive outcome of geokinetics versus Center Township in the case brief in the lawsuit. Council, who is following your lead, has listened to you. The outcome of the geokinetics versus Monroeville lawsuit, in my view, is a travesty. Council did not have the courage to see this suit through and let it go to court. Mr. Ratcher did not present the positive outcome, like I mentioned, of geokinetics versus Center Township. Using the smokescreen of settling, which would cost the municipality the $10,000 deductible insurance, pales in comparison to how this brewing monstrosity will cost this region in terms of health and wellness. Wait, disease is good for the healthcare business. I know, I'm in it. But not good for the human spirit or for the tax rolls in Monroeville. The critical pieces of the ordinance were removed. A 50-foot setback virtually allows them to do it anywhere. No pre- and post-testing of our homes and businesses, and the ability for the company from Texas to use our roads. They're free to go ahead with their deed. They are free to seismic trespass underneath where we live. They're paving the way for Huntley and Huntley to frack. We understand the stalling tactics. This is the conclusion, my conclusion, of the dots coming together. The stalling tactics, by not putting a protective seismic testing ordinance in place and by strategically delaying the protective oil and gas ordinance we presented to you, Council, months ago, based on South Fayette, you are effectively leaving the community of people, properties, and businesses wide open to environmental eco-justice and preventing not just Monroeville but all of Western PA from moving forward in the green economy. We all share the same airshed and watershed. We know a completed draft of an updated zoning code regarding oil and gas was to be presented to Council in 2015. We now understand in plain daylight why you have all been claiming you do not understand. We do now understand. We understand the subtle and deep deception of this extractive gas industry, and including how all of you and us have been strung along in this deception and these lies. We understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Ratcher, that you've worked for at least one gas company, and you understand how the system works in favor of extraction. We are shining the light on this darkness. We demand protection from seismic trespass.
Dr. Beck, if you could,
I'm almost done,
Please.
New Mayor. I'm almost done. You've got 3 cameras here. Is one of them shining on here? Many of us will have these signs: no trespassing, no seismic testing. Any of use of this property for seismic testing or surveying without our express written permission obtained in advance is defiant trespass under 18 PA CS 3503 and may subject you to criminal liability. We want to protect our council and our community. Thank you. By setting us up to not put the complete ordinance in place that we requested months ago, you're leaving us wide open to the same thing that I believe was just stated earlier.
Good evening, Georgiana Woodhull, 4560 Broadway Boulevard, Monroeville. I'd like to just say I'm slightly disappointed with the settlement agreement. I was shocked to see Mr. Little's signature on that, not yours, Mr. Ratcher. I'd just like to ask who was present in these negotiations to reach that settlement.
I handled the negotiations as a representative of council in the municipality.
Okay. I was just taken back to see Mr. Little's signature on the
That's,
settlement.
Mr.
Agreement.
Little is the chief executive
Right.
of the municipality, so he's the one that has to sign the documents. And I have no problem with signing it, but my signature doesn't mean anything.
Oh, it means a lot to me.
Well, I'll sign one if
Much
you
more than
like.
Mr. Little's. A few months back at I believe it was the August meeting, I had an article I wanted to read in reference. I was hoping that Mr. Mangini would have been here and brought it to every meeting and hadn't seen Mr. Mangini since. So I'd like to read this article. This is from 2010. It was from the Tribune Review. Monroeville Company at the center of deadly local gas well explosion. Monroeville-based Huntley & Huntley is at the center of an Indiana Township gas well explosion Friday that killed 2 workers and ignited a fire that burned for 10 hours before being extinguished. At least 3 other workers at the site when the explosion occurred, but they were not injured. Huntley & Huntley, located at 4075 Monroeville Boulevard, owns the shallow well, which was produced natural gas since it was drilled 2 years ago. The well is 3,500 feet deep. Huntley & Huntley President Keith Mangini said contractors were performing routine maintenance work on one of the 2 oil storage tanks at the site when the blast occurred. Humphrey said workers had been welding. Mangini and Huntley was cooperating with investigating agencies, including the DEP and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. The company has more than 350 gas wells in the region. DEP has cited Huntley & Huntley for 4 violations since 1998. The company was cited twice, but not fined in February 2000 for failure to submit an annual production report. It was cited twice and fined $8,425 for unspecified violations in November 1998. None of the wells in Indiana Township received DEP permits prior to 2004. The Allegheny County, well, I'm going to skip that part only because it names the person as deceased. Huntley & Huntley had hired Northeast Energy to perform maintenance on the one of 2 oil storage tanks. The force of the blast flung one of the tanks measuring 12 feet tall by 8 feet wide, more than 70 yards. The fire burned for more than 10 hours before a crew from Wild Well Control, Inc. of Houston, Texas, arrived and extinguished it by forcing water into the opening. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration investigated Indiana County-based Northeast Energy twice in the past 3 years when fires broke out on drilling sites. OSHA records show it fined Northeast Energy $12,442 for its role in the September 2007 fire on a drilling rig in Clarion County, in which 1 worker suffered second-degree burns to his face and neck. The company paid $5,965 through a settlement with the agency. OSHA fined Northeast Energy $4,000 for starting a fire on a drilling rig in Charleroi in November 2008. You know, I could go on to read this article, but I'm going to pass it in as part of the record. I would ask you to seriously understand what you're bringing into our community. We're not in a rural area. We're in a heavily populated area with aging infrastructure. And I think I've said over and over about the Sunoco gas line that was put in, probably close to 400 feet of it on my property. And what we don't need is any activity around it to disturb what we already have that needs to be replaced. I'm going to just submit the Sharon to you. Thank you. And just close once again on saying that, we have, everybody's busy in their lives. And, to have to keep coming up here, we put you people there to protect the safety and the welfare of the residents in Monroeville, and that's what we expect from you. So please be cautious. And one thing I want to say, Mr. Ratcher, is when I read, and I'm looking over GeoKinetics' complaint, and in there, one of the things, and quote me if I'm wrong, not in my neighborhood. Really? To
I
have
don't
a
control what they say in their complaint.
Okay, well, all I'm saying is that speaks volumes about the character and the company.
The floor is still open. If anyone would like to address council. Please state your name for the record.
Valerie Warning. I am a Monroeville resident. I'm going to take another route of what I'm here to speak of tonight. I just want to thank the municipality for supporting our Gateway football team. I just left the pep rally. Sorry you guys missed it. I know there's been a split between the school board and the municipality, and this team has brought us all together. The turnaround that you guys did to get that banner up today was unreal, to get PennDOT to approve it. I just want to say thank you. We have almost 900 people going to Hershey tomorrow, which is awesome for the football team. These guys,
Was there a bonfire?
No, we had a pep rally tonight inside. No bonfire. But we have had, the past 2 weeks, we've had police escorts. We've had the fire trucks there to welcome them back. This is something these kids will never forget. And thank you for being a part of it. And no one beats a Gator. So you can see it tomorrow night. It's on PCN at 7 o'clock live. And let's go Gators. Thank
Valerie.
you.
Thank you. Valerie, the first time in 58 years.
They've never gone to states.
This is the first time in 58 years. So congratulations.
The floor is still open for anyone who would like to address council.
I have one more question, Mr. Mayor. Jay Wright again. I'd like to know what's going on in the park.
They are milling the courts in order
Thank you.
to pave next year. It'll be part of the paving program, part of the grant we got.
How big an area are they going to do, Mr. Little?
Well, they're doing the 3 courts up there, the basketball and tennis courts.
Okay. Because I saw it
Redoing the
sink
ones
down, or I just watched the trucks come out. Okay, thank you.
Good.
No one else has signed in to address council? Seeing none, we're going to close that portion of the meeting and move over to our work session. This will be for Monday or Tuesday. Okay, council, we're going to start with the approval of our minutes. If anyone has any additions or corrections to the minutes of the budget hearing of November 2nd, the hearing of November 9th, the Citizens Night meeting of November 9th, the work session of the 9th, the continued budget hearing of the 9th, which was then held on the 14th, or the regular council meeting of the 14th. Any additions or corrections, council? Okay, seeing none, we move over to our list of bills. Mr. Wilson, do you have any questions this evening regarding the list of
Thank
bills? Mr. Duncan?
I have nothing.
Mr. Caleri?
No, sir.
Mr. Johns? Nothing, sir. Mr. Harvey?
I do.
Questions?
Usually I call them into Tim, but I didn't have a chance, and so I got to ask now. And I think he might have just answered the one, which was in November, why the Monroeville Community Park ball field electric bill was $1,500.
Off the top of my head, I don't know that. I'll have to look into it. $1,500
For the ball field lights in November.
There are some fees that we have to pay Duquesne Light just to keep the power source there. I'm not using the right term for all of that, but
But it was $100 more than the whole municipal. I just was curious. I've never noticed that before, but
Someone forgot to turn off the disco ball, is what I heard.
let's find out before Tuesday.
okay. And then
I'll call you on
the company that cuts the grass of the people that, or the properties that don't cut their grass, we do businesses too. Because Patrons on Monroeville Boulevard, you got billed $75 for cutting their grass.
Yes, they do, Ron. It does include businesses.
Okay.
Like Mr.
We've done it
Tyler.
in the past. We've actually had to cut CVS's one time.
Okay, I just never noticed that before.
They're being invoiced?
Yes, sir.
Is that this one, Ron? Is that who you're talking about? Is that the last people?
Last but not least, I just wanted to point out to council that with this new radio system being installed, if you looked at page 51 on your bills, there's $145 and $1,148 for rental of Verizon phone lines going to the repeaters, and that'll be eliminated.
Okay, thanks. Mrs. Gatos?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. List of payroll. Any questions, council? Seeing none? And we're going to move over to our consent agenda. We're going to start with some old business, and Mr. Little, that'll be for you.
Okay. Amiyamaya Organization of Pittsburgh applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct 8,419 square foot church and associated site amenities. The property is located at 351 Old Haymaker Road in the M1 Planned Industrial and R2 Single Family Zoning District. This is a reapproval from 2014. They have not started construction, so this is the same plan that was in front of this council, the Planning Commission and Council, in 2014.
This is the one down across from the rented spaces, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So what exactly are they applying for now? Because that property's been a mess.
So,
Same
Mr.
thing.
Hugus, what's the, if you could just update us all on...
Sure. The applicant's here, if you want to speak with him.
This is one that was before we approved it, and then just nothing happened to it?
Correct, except for
Correct.
they, I don't know what they
They
did to
started
the,
beating
to
up
the,
the property.
to the
So
They
lot,
started
but it's,
clearing the
it was
land
left a
before they had
mess.
approvals.
Yeah.
It was just a mess.
Sir,
So
if you'd like to
I remember.
come up and
come to the microphone.
tell us what's,
State your
where
name
you're
for-
at and what's going
state your
on.
name for the record, please.
Dr. Hashim Raza.
Are you the resident in the home?
No, I'm not. the
Okay, but there is a resident in the home, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So if there is any specific, I can address that if there's any specific complaint. The reason we were not able to start was litigation. Unfortunately, the plan, subdivision plan was not recorded according to the rules and regulation. So we have to go and Paul pointed out that it needed to be done within 90 days, and the engineer company that had prepared the plan, they did not do it. So then we did back and forth, went into the court, and eventually he has done now, so that's why there was a delay.
Just to refresh my memory, is the house being taken down or not?
No, house will remain there. The lot has been subdivided.
There it is.
If you could orient us, please.
Yeah, so this is the old Haymaker Road. Over here is your garden storage, and this is the current existing driveway. So what we have done is, if you can see this line here, this belongs to the house, all this property, and then remaining property will belong to the house of worship, and this is the structure for the house of worship. So the house is separate, and that's what was the issue. The subdivision plan was not recorded, and according to the rules, it was to be recorded within 90 days. So I don't know what was the...
So are the plans exactly the same as they were presented before?
Yes, sir. No, there's no change in the plan. And as a matter of fact, we have asked the engineer, Allstate Mapping, to submit again, and they have done that.
My question is, if this gets approved, when do you intend on starting?
There are just a couple of things that needed to be, we are hoping somewhere around January or February, at least we should have something.
So going back to the subdivision, so the home, that property is subdivided from it, so there's two separate parcels at this point, okay.
So
That has
this
gone
is a
through.
separate parcel, and then from here, that is the same.
And then,
Mr. Udis, is everything,
No, the subdivision was part of the original plan. Subdivision has been recorded, so it's okay. The problem is they didn't take action on the site plan within a year. They have a year to start and 2 years to finish, which they've done neither of. That's why they're back in front of you tonight, because the site plan wasn't taken action.
Because they just expired.
That's correct.
so nothing else has changed, though?
No.
So everything
Same
else is-
requirements.
still fits
Right,
everything?
Same resolution with the conditions on it.
Okay.
We argue. This is we approved this.
Yes.
Yeah.
You did.
I remember.
I remember.
I remember it, I just know that that piece of property is really, I don't know what
An
happened.
eyesore.
It is an absolute eyesore.
Well, I think they learned a lesson that they have to get their permits first before they start.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, I think it will make us all happy that it will be taken care of.
Thanks very much.
Are you
Thank you.
comfortable with this, Mr. Hughes?
Yeah, I'm okay.
did this go in front of the planning commission again?
No.
Because
Reapproval comes right
reapproval
back to council.
Directly, okay. And they approved it?
Yes.
With conditions?
Yes.
Correct,
Correct.
exactly. Any other questions, council?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you on Tuesday. And moving over to some new business, Mr. Little.
Okay, under new business, AR Building Company Incorporated, applicant is requesting rezoning two properties from L Special Use and C2 Business Commercial to R5 Multifamily Residential. The parcels are located between Evergreen Drive and the Parkway, known as Allegheny County Block Number 742P236 and 742P216, and together comprise a total area of approximately 5 acres. This is a public hearing. So anybody that would have to give testimony would have to be sworn in.
So, Mr. Ratcher, if you could take that part of the swearing in?
Yes, will the applicant come forward, please? And I see your engineers here, Mr. Nixon's here. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Whenever you speak, state your name for the record and make sure you're signed in if you're not already signed in.
I'm signed in, I'm going to use the presentation.
Great. Okay.
I think we're supposed to tell Joe to turn it on, is that how it works?
Are you ready for that now?
Yeah,
sir?
I'll be ready for it now, I'll start. Sure.
I'll bring it up.
Okay, great. Well, I'm ready.
He's ready, Joe.
Okay. Good. Got it. Hello.
Not ready.
Well, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Jason Kambitsis with AR Building Company. Thanks for being here tonight. What I'm going to show you is the presentation we made to Planning Commission, I guess it was last month, on this. Hold on here. How do I make it fit?
It shows a PowerPoint presentation that never worked.
Well, let's just look at how it is, all right? We can figure this out.
I'm telling you.
It's always a problem. Okay, well,
Take your time, it's
I'll just
fine.
I'll give you a background on who we are.
Take your
So
time
anyways-
and get it right.
No, it's fine. We're cool. Anyways, so AR Building Company, just so you guys have an understanding of who we are, it's a 50-year-old company headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Actually, our office is in Seven Fields. So we're a vertically integrated development company. We have 9,000 units over 10 states. We build, manage, buy, develop, own all of our property. That's a family-owned business with one owner. So we build everything for a portfolio. So the people who are building it are also running it. We don't sell our properties, so we're not the kind of people who come in, build something, 2 years later, sell it and move on. Throughout the 50 years of the company, we've probably sold maybe 200 units. And we've been trying to get into Monroeville for over 30 years. Our owner of our company, actually, it's funny, is somebody showed me an offer he put in on a property in 1983. It's funny because I was 3 years old. But, I look at that now and here we are. So we've been trying to get here for a long time. So, if you ask around or actually call any of the municipalities we work with or any of the places we have it, they speak very highly of us. We are people who do what we say and say what we do. We build luxury apartment communities. Really, our bread and butter is we do a 4-story elevated apartment building, which is what we're going to do here. So I'll go over a couple of the complexes that we have in the area. On the left there, you'll see a complex called Chatham Commons. It's in Cranberry. That's about 130 units. It's actually a 3-story complex. One building's actually 4 stories. On the bottom right, it's a site plan for a development we have in Columbus called Heritage Preserve. It's under construction. That's 282 units. You see here, this kind of gives you a understanding of the fit and finish of our complexes. On the left, again, is Chatham Commons in Cranberry, the top right, the other one in Columbus. And on the bottom there, the big one that's brick and siding, that's our Bright Oaks building, as we call it. It's kind of our prototypical building. That one's 40 units. We do a 40-unit or a 45-unit building. Again, you can see the fit and finish of the building. We like to do these long-term materials such as brick because, again, we keep it for portfolio. We want these buildings to last for a long time. Again, here's some more projects. You can kind of get an understanding. A project we're working on in Oakmont. And these are some from our architect. Okay, here you go. Here's the Bright Oaks building. Again, redundant with a bunch of pictures, but kind of give you an understanding of who we are. We know what we're doing. We do this all over the country. Here's some pictures of our interior finishes. Every unit, we try to have every unit that has a balcony. We believe in having some outdoor space. It's good for us. It's good for the market. Our residents love it. We also like bright light. We try to incorporate floor-to-ceiling windows in every unit we have. And our interiors fit and finish. We do dark cabinets, stainless steel appliances, big bathrooms, everything. When you come in, this feels like a luxury home, not just a regular apartment.
Is that truck decking?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Here's an overview of the site plan. So it's about a 6-acre site on Evergreen Road. What we're proposing to do here is a 4-story, 85-unit apartment complex. Now, what we're talking about here is a rezoning of the L special use and commercial. What we're intending to build is this. Again, we haven't fully vetted out what the project would be, but we don't build anything more than 4 stories. I know that we've had conversations about that. That's not something we do. We like to stay to 4 stories, about 50 feet. And again, everything on this site plan is parked per the ordinances. Everything that we have on here adheres to all the setbacks and everything that's within the zoning code. Here you'll get an overview of actually what the property is per the zoning. And again, another shot of it. I have my engineer, Ray Gusty, here. He can talk about any of the engineering issues. And of course, my attorney, Dave Nixon, who always comes for a rezoning, but I don't think we'll actually need him, right, Dave? Yeah. So there you go. I'm able to answer any questions you have. So.
Members of council, any questions?
Are we just looking at the zoning this
Yes.
evening? We're not looking at your outside finishes or any of
You're
what
not.
you're
I just want to
proposing to
give
put
you.
here
Yeah.
yet?
Yeah, I just want to give you an understanding of who we are and what we intend to do. But again, it is just a rezoning from the existing zoning to an R5 residential zone. And let me also state that we've talked about this with the Planning Commission and also with staff. There's a couple different levels of zoning. There's R3, R4, and the difference between R4 and R5 really is you have a height change of 35 feet to 100 feet.
Right.
So, there is a disparity within there. Again, we don't intend for that height, but that's all we have to work with unless we go and try to go another route here.
Jason has said it's just for the rezoning, so that this is just a preliminary site plan to see what we can actually fit on the site. So if you would grant us the rezoning, then the next step would be come in with site plans to address, the site plans, stormwater, all those.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, we can't hear you talking.
Yeah, he wasn't close enough to the mic.
Yeah, you have
Pick a
to,
microphone.
they just want you to stand closer to the mic
You
when
can
you talk.
just repeat your statement, sir.
As Jason had said, we're in here just for the rezoning. This is just a preliminary site plan to see what actually will fit on the site. And if you do grant rezoning, then the next step would be to come back with actual site plans, stormwater management reports, the typical information that your staff needs.
But your company already owns the property, is that correct?
I don't think they purchased it yet.
David Nixon, counsel for AR Building Company, Inc. The property is under agreement, so AR Building Company has what we call equitable title in the property, and it is subject to getting it rezoned so we can build the product we're looking for. So if it doesn't get rezoned, unfortunately, we'll have to go elsewhere. But so the agreement is contingent upon the rezoning. We don't do the site plan approvals now. And by the way, I've been doing this for AR Building for probably 40 of those 50 years. And they do what they say they're going to do. But the reason they don't do the site plan now is that's where all the costs come in. And the engineers really get going
Right.
and do it. And so we don't want to
Makes sense.
get all that cost.
The concept plan.
Exactly. Will it work? Will it fit? And that's
Well, and it
what-
also makes sense that, it's a sale contingent on a rezoning. That makes sens to me.
Yes, well, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
So it's, it's a legislative function, and there's no real legal argument I could make other than, you have the ability to say yes or no.
I'm all for it.
So these are two actual parcels currently, right?
They are two separate tax parcel ID numbers, but owned by the same entity. So we got basically one owner.
So now, this may not be for you, but maybe for Mr. Hugus, how do they combine those two parcels?
When they come back through the system, they'll do property consolidation.
Yeah.
As a separate step?
As a separate, so
Yeah, we
they'll
can
do
do
property
consolidation.
consolidation and the site plan as part of their next step.
Yeah, we could clearly do a consolidation.
That'll be part of the site plan submittal.
Yeah, like you said, the next step's coming up.
And then that picture you have up right there. Joe, if you could put up the camera, what they have there. If you could just orient everyone for where we're at there, obviously.
For example, where's Evergreen Drive?
Evergreen is right here.
Okay.
And then, of course, here's the Parkway. And for everybody to understand, and I don't know if they actually have a tenant, there's that long office building that goes down the Parkway.
Used to be A.B. Smith Company.
Oh,
It's
yes.
right, it's right above that. essentially.
Where's Old William Penn Highway?
This is Old William Penn
Okay.
Highway right here. And 22 sits back over here.
Yeah.
Other questions, council?
That's all I have.
I'd just like to point out that this site plan has been approved by the planning commission. They recommend approval.
Yeah, I just want to make one comment relative to that, and this is not meant to be a detrimental comment, but the planning commission saw fit to attach a condition on a height limit. I don't really think that's enforceable. But what I will tell you is that when you look at this piece of property and what's around it, it's essentially locked in by the road, by some houses up above, and so there's no way that this applicant could build a 100-foot building there.
No.
I mean, you wouldn't have it in the setbacks, you wouldn't have the parking. It's probably going to be a challenge for you to do 50 feet.
Yeah, we push it at this point. To go any higher, you'd have to do a lot of different things, which we couldn't do on this site.
We
Not prepared to do.
could be creative and create some kind of restrictive covenant that would attach to the property that would put a 50-foot limit on it. And obviously, if we own it, we can change it. So we would have to tie in the municipality into that they would have an enforceable right. In other words, you give it to us, but take us away. And that could be done. We could get creative and do something to do that if that's a concern, so we cap it at the 50
I think
feet.
it would be a bigger concern if that property was not locked in all around like it is. Quite
Oh,
frankly,
I agree.
I'm
just offering that.
Property
I
has
mean,
been
we-
sitting, Tom, you've lived in Garden City for a long, long time. How long has that property been vacant?
Well, since I've been there 45 years.
Okay, so.
Are there any structures on the property currently?
No, there's nothing on the property right now.
And then the access to that property, I know we're getting outside of zoning a little bit here, but would the access be Old William Penn Highway?
It's on Evergreen.
Evergreen.
The entrance would be on Evergreen?
Yeah.
Okay.
What would be the square foot of a one-bedroom, two-bedroom? I'm just curious.
They range from about $750 for a one-bedroom, $800, up to about $1,100 for a two-bedroom. there's varying floor plans.
What's your rent, for instance?
You know, I would pay this to, we have a complex in Baldwin. If you guys are familiar with Baldwin, but Route 51 and Lebanon Church Road meet right on the corner.
Right.
We built a 135-unit complex there. We start those around
Near
950 to
Cloverleaf?
1,000.
Near the
Across from, yeah, it is Cloverleaf, but it's the
Oh,
new one,
Cloverleaf.
not the one across the street. So, but they start around 950, 1,000, and go up to about 1,400.
And just to be clear, municipal managers do not get a discount.
You don't. He's right about that.
It's too small for you.
He's working on
I
it.
wasn't looking for it, I was just curious. Affordability, that's all.
Council, any other questions for these gentlemen?
No.
No, sir.
See you
Thank you very
Tuesday.
much.
So I think we would close
you.
the public hearing at
Close
this
the
point.
public hearing, and we'll see you on Tuesday night.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Question.
Public hearing, back up.
Oh, sorry, we didn't ask for the audience. Anybody in the audience that has a question or wants to make a comment, please feel free to come forward.
Okay.
And I guess
Sorry about
we
that.
I
would
thought you were going to
reopen,
skip us. I wouldn't let you do that.
we would reopen the public hearing at this point
Yes.
as part of it?
Yes.
And then you swear this young lady in?
Yes.
I will.
Okay.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Would you state your name for the record?
My name's Diane Etchegary. I have been a resident of Evergreen Drive since October of 1968. That field has been vacant all of the time I've lived there, but there had been a house on it when we moved there, which ironically was burned by the fire department. So
All comes together.
I thought that was rather ironic that that
Yes.
brought up tonight. It was a cornfield prior to that. Mr. Lang had a cornfield on there. And along the way, I don't know, I wonder what circumstances, the field was sold. But my main issue of speaking here tonight is Evergreen is a street that is a residential street. There are 3 90-degree turns on that street passing up from where that is. Main entrance, I would hope, would be from Old William Penn Highway, because as it is now, the planning place that they are planning on entering this project would be on the second 90-degree angle on Evergreen, which is by the apartments at the bottom of the hill there. That is on an angle right there, and turning in there, looking down the road, looking up the road is a problem at this time. Even going around that bend, you have to be careful to watch for cars coming up that hill. Also, there are children on that street that have to walk to go to the school bus. Even from the apartment buildings, there are people that have to walk up to Garden City to get the school bus. And if this is going to be an 84, 85 unit building, that's going to increase the traffic flow to a point where I think it would be dangerous for children or even people backing in and out on that street, because it is not wide, it's a narrow street. Also, I was thinking about if the thing was never addressed, why they could not access. I thought they were to look into the reason why they could not enter from Old William Penn Highway. Something was brought up about right-of-way for the parkway and that sort of thing, but I didn't hear any comments about them looking into that issue.
Jason, you want to speak to that?
Sure, I can speak to that. It's nice to see you again.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay. I have no objections to these gentlemen. They do seem very nice. We had quite a long talk the last time we
Yeah,
were here
but-
afterwards.
You know, the issue that we have, if you look here, is it's actually the grade goes up 60 feet from here. We also can't even touch, you can see here, here's the legal limit of slope. This is a slope
Okay.
that's imposed by PennDOT for the parkway. I mean, it's something we can't, I mean, you
Okay.
could get rid of it, but I don't even know what the process is to get through that. So we have a limitation off of this and to get back from it. I mean, we don't think we can do it, plus you'd have to build a bridge over
Okay,
Leak Run
great.
here, yeah.
Right.
And so everything that we do has to adhere to, Monroeville,
Right.
how they do the traffic studies and everything that goes along with that. So I guess that's the best I can say about that, but this is an unbuildable entrance right here.
Okay.
Something that we just couldn't do this at all.
Okay. Like I said before, that was put into whatever the rezoning was last time, when the bigger portion was made L2 and the other was C2, because C2 was being made all along Old William Penn Highway at that point. If that's why that was conceded too. And then the stipulations were put on the other area that was changed into the L thing. But my son has gone and checked out your
apartment buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he like them?
He liked them, yes.
Is he going to rent one? Oh, boy.
But,
We'll work on this
but
one.
anyway, those are my main concerns. And I was wondering, too, if you had any feedback about how the property values in the areas of your projects did.
You know, I mean, I can say that, you know, I don't have any specific data as to say the values of houses go up or down. I will say that we do have buildings, and they've built million-dollar homes next to them. So, I mean, I can state that. It's never been a detriment to property values at all. I know that.
Okay. And you are going to address the water flow and all that.
Yes.
There is also, Mike, want to tell you, the one area just, where's it at? It would be right here. There used to be a house, this is the one that was burned right here on this corner. And also behind it was a large ravine going down into the creek. Well, all of this dirt was scooped off and put into that hole after it was burned down. So I don't know how well that was done and who did it at the time. I guess Monroeville did it.
I don't know, but we'll have to look into that
Yeah.
and deal with that.
And right
as it
here's a
comes.
pipe comes under the road too, and that's always overflowing. So
Okay.
just
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
FYI.
Thank you.
Okay.
It all sounds like fun,
But,
doesn't it?
yeah, but those were my main concerns.
Okay.
Ongoing the traffic situation.
Well, as I stated, you know, we come back Tuesday, and then we have to go through the planning process, which
Okay.
is a long, daunting one as well.
And this would be for you guys, really. Other places out where the sanitation department is on Old Frankstown and out that way, there is a no right-hand or no left-hand turn or something, so that people coming from the area where the refuse trucks are parked, you can't make a right turn back into the complex. And if that issue were put here on that turn so that they could not make a right-hand turn to go up Evergreen Drive, that would decrease the traffic. I know people are going to ignore it, some of them still, that's realistic. But at least the people that are, you know, would think about that.
Well,
That would be another thing.
Those are the type of things we would approve with the site plan.
Okay, I just want to put it in the air.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No,
But yeah,
thanks for your comment.
yeah, absolutely. No, that's helpful. But we would just be talking on Tuesday, just so you know, on Tuesday, we would only be voting on the zoning or rezoning
Right.
of that.
Okay.
But those type of suggestions you're making now, absolutely, those are worth considering. But we'd be considering those when they come in front of us again for the actual project.
I only come before you people in 20-year intervals, so.
You want to get it all out now.
Yes,
See you in
exactly.
20 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that's mainly what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to make a comment in the audience? And again, I apologize for forgetting you. If not, we're going to close the public hearing again.
We'll close that hearing, and then also residents will have an opportunity to speak at our Tuesday, before our Tuesday meeting, before we vote on this item. You'll have another opportunity to speak if you have any comments, or if anyone's watching that wants to make comments. You'll have an opportunity on Tuesday prior to the vote. And we're going to move on to our next item of business, our new business. Walnut Ivanhoe Partners, Ivanhoe Apartments. Mr. Little?
Yeah, applicant is requesting a site plan approval to construct 4,041 square foot building for the purpose of a leasing office and multi-use space and associated site amenities. The property is located at 4175 Ivanhoe Drive in the R5 multifamily residential zoning district. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions. Is the applicant here?
State your name for the record, please, sir.
Chris Schmidt with Hampton Technical Associates, representing Ivanhoe Walnut Partners, the
Welcome.
owner of the apartment complex. They are looking to build a accessory structure on the site for their new leasing office, and they're also going to move the gym for the facility in there, and there'll also be a small gathering place, more like a lobby, next to the leasing office. We're only adding about 4 parking spaces just for employees there and any potential lessees. There'll be a little gathering area in the back with a little fire pit. We have addressed pretty much all the townships or municipalities' comments. We are working through a little stormwater issue for a master stormwater plan for the full site, which we just clarified with the staff, the exact requirements. We're hoping to have that submitted to the staff within the next week. So
This is going on the other side of the turnaround?
Yes, correct. Yeah. Right here is the Lowe's which is directly behind the site, yes. So if you're looking from Ivanhoe Drive, you would see the face of it. And just so everybody, this I do have, this is the front elevation. It will all be glass in the front of it. We'll have stone on here that kind of matches the fountain feature. It's at the turnaround. And the siding will, it's not, though not wood, it looks like lap wood siding. It'd be like a composite material that you wouldn't have to paint or anything like that.
But currently, there's nothing at that site where you're building.
There's some sidewalks and just some green space there right now.
Now, will we have to do something as far as the stormwater management that he's talking about, like with
Yeah,
condition?
that's
Since
actually
he's
been-
saying a week?
That's been the hurdle here, is that it's a rather small project, but there's no stormwater management on the site. So they have to bring the whole thing up to today's standards. which
Okay.
It's good for us, bad for them.
Yeah, I understand.
But we're working through that. No, I have no problems with
You have no problems with it?
at this point, no.
But if we do, if we would approve, could we approve it with a condition?
It's already
that-
in there.
That's, okay, that's what I wanted to make sure
And
that we
Chris and I,
have.
we're on the same page. He
Okay.
knows what's going on.
Well, that's always helpful.
It is.
Never hurts. Okay, that's, now I understand, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
So to that point, Mr. Hugus, and even just outside this project, though, so any developer that, or anyone that changes, how much does a property owner or business need to change to their structure to then have to bring up the entire site to?
If you're adding a round number, 750 square feet of impervious surface, then it institutes a stormwater management ordinance.
Okay.
And in this particular site, they don't have any, so they have to bring it up to today's standards.
For the entire,
For
all
the
three
entire
buildings?
parcel.
The entire parcel.
Yes.
The building-
Which in this case is the two high-rises and the parking garage on the northern side of Ivanhoe Drive.
Okay. Council, any other questions?
No, sir?
Seeing none, I guess we'll see you on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, item number 3, Key Development Partners LP, otherwise known as Tykes Corner. Applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct a 10,000 square foot building divided into 3 leasable retail spaces and associated site amenities. The property is located at 4020 William Penn Highway in the C2 Business Commercial District. Planning Commission has approved with conditions.
Do you have a twin brother that was here earlier?
Mr. Drusky?
I'm pitch hitting for someone from work. So.
Please go over the project, sir.
My name is Ray Gusty from Farragut McCarty Gray. If I can quickly orient everyone to the drawing, William Penn Highway.
Yeah. Wait till he
122
brings
is
it.
up
There we
here.
go. Now go ahead, start over. It wasn't
came
up.
Okay. L22 is up here along the top of the sheet. Stroshine Road is located here. This is the proposed 10,000 square foot building with 3 tenants and the associated parking. I believe we've addressed staff's comments. We just recently resubmitted for response for stormwater, but I believe we've addressed all the other issues from staff. One of the items that came up at the Planning Commission meeting was to close this one driveway here. And my client's currently working with the 2 landowners to work out a deal to close this. So we actually resubmitted drawings to staff closing this driveway off and putting in 3 parking spaces.
If you could show us the driveways currently, I mean, obviously not the one you just showed us, but the other driveways, where would they be?
There's right in here, right out here, and then right in, right out here as well, and left, right in, right out.
And that one you're pointing at, there's an existing one there already.
That's existing, correct.
Okay.
These are all existing. This one here is existing, this is the one we're going to close.
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Harvey.
this is probably addressed to you and Mr. Hugus, if nothing else for explanation. Back when that was originally going to be sold and developed, there was a soil remediation problem that was brought up earlier, and I remember it. Has that been taken care of?
Yes. We did, I can read the summary from AGI, American Geoscience, Inc., and we submitted the report to your staff. Basically, there were 3 underground storage tanks were removed in February of 2015. Soils tests were completed by AGI on April 22nd, 2015, and again on March 7th, 2016. And the results of those tests is there were no groundwater contamination, no surface soil contamination, but 8 to 10 feet below the surface where the diesel tank was, there is slightly elevated levels of benzene. Now they're saying that this area is fully contained on site and is not impacting adjacent properties or groundwater. This does not warrant removal of the soil, but a vapor barrier should be installed under the proposed building. So those are the recommendations.
That was a separate company from the whole.
Correct, yes.
Is that typical, Paul? Is that what happens during?
It is, and what happens, they're called Phase 2 site assessments, and are generally driven by lending institutions. Because lending institutions don't want to give anybody money that have contaminated soils or environmental issues. And that's what generates these reports. And what happens is DEP is the big player here. They're the ones that's going to tell them you can or cannot leave it there.
Well, who sets the action of what happens when they find something?
DEP.
And they are all in line with this?
Yeah, they have to submit this report to the DEP.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
When will do we have an answer from the DEP at this point?
Did you get anything, Ray?
I don't believe so, not yet.
Okay.
So nothing can happen, if council were to approve this on Tuesday, nothing can happen
Right.
until the DEP
Yeah,
gives its blessing.
They have jurisdiction over environmental issues.
That'll be a condition.
I guess what I
Be a condition.
was driving at is the DEP knows about it.
Yes.
They have yet to submit a report on what their
Plan of action.
orders or recommendation is, right?
Correct.
Is that
Will there be
actually,
a certification of what the DEP comes out with?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and can you make that available to this council and to our engineer?
Yes.
I personally
think it'll be nice to see something go into
Oh,
that
absolutely.
intersection. It's been vacant for quite some time, and it's an eyesore.
And what happens when the tanks and when the pumps and the tanks were removed, the company that did it
Looks like
had
a
to
parking
prepare
lot.
what's called a closure report, and they submit that to the DEP as for part of the record also.
Do you have
So-
tenants already for any of the spaces?
So we have records.
They have Infinity Communications and Mattress Firm,
And you'll be
2 of them.
satisfied.
A mattress company.
I think they're moving up from.
Okay.
So we need another mattress company.
Yes, we really.
Ray, I have a
yes, we
question
do.
on that driveway closest to the intersection on 22.
Oh, this one.
It's okay, it wasn't done, but.
Yes. No, that's going to be a right out only, you said.
Right.
Okay.
That's existing.
How's that going to be controlled? That's like that now? That's,
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
It's there now.
yes.
Is he saying no, are you saying no left turn?
He is. Yay, Tom is so happy.
Are they getting rid of the other right turn on to, where is that?
Stroh.
20,
Stroshine.
Yes.
Is that going away?
The one closest to
the
the
one closest to the light, yes.
one here.
Yeah, that one shouldn't
This
be
one
there.
goes away.
That goes, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can't cross over to the.
The median's there,
medianship there.
correct.
My point, somebody is not going to be able to pull in that driveway. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Or out. I mean, it'll be blocked. There'll be a side curb and
They're
sidewalk.
No, not that one. I'm talking about the one on 22.
Oh, this one here.
Correct.
Right, yeah, the angle of it, you
There's no
can't
way.
turn in. It's only right out.
Okay.
How about your neighbor to the south, which would be?
The printing company?
Between.
bookstore.
Between
Oh.
The magazine.
PNC Bank structure and your property, will there be?
Dirty bookstore.
Will you be taking additional property there where the adult
No.
bookstore is? No, that'll be there, that's still
guardrails.
safe? Okay.
All right, my question is, that didn't get to finish, was, as far as what the building itself is gonna look like, are we doing that now, or are we gonna see a rendition later, or are we getting to that?
Here's an elevation, 4 elevations. All 4 sides of the building are brick. So this is it's hard to see, but
Can you give me an idea what these materials are besides the glass windows?
He just said brick.
Brick.
It's brick.
okay.
There is some stone at the base. The dark is where like there's a stone band through there, but the majority of it is brick.
Do you have an idea what type of businesses will be leased in that property?
There's going to be a mattress store, Tom.
Pardon me?
A mattress store.
Infinity Communications and Mattress Firm are two of the tenants.
Thank you.
Mr.
Okay.
Hughes, going back, I'm sorry, to the DEP situation we mentioned. So is that a specific condition listed in here?
It is not listed,
Or-
but we can make it a condition, if you would like.
You say we are going to make it a
I
We
said, if you
can.
would like to, we can.
Should we?
We would like to.
Well, I think we would
Okay.
have to.
Yes.
And wait, that's number 17.
Okay,
Council good with that?
I am.
I agree.
Council, any other questions for the applicant?
Yes, sir.
No.
Thank you. Good luck with it.
Good luck. See you on Tuesday.
See you Tuesday.
And we're going to move over to our motions for this evening. Mr. Little.
Okay, we have two motions for Tuesday evening. The first one is a motion to open an asset seizure fund for the Department of Treasury funds. Currently, we have a fund which is for the Department of Justice, and the chief has informed me we need one for the Department of Treasury. For the benefit of the public, asset seizure funds are those funds if, for instance, we have a task force with drug enforcement, any kind of assets that are seized, either cash, cars, whatever they are, they're liquidated, and we do get a percentage, as any municipal police department in the Commonwealth gets.
So is this another entity that it's going to be cutting into that?
No, this is money that comes from the Department of Treasury.
It's a place to put money.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
If they make a narcotics arrest, say they seize $100,000 in cash, it goes down to the federal building, and after the thing is all over, we get 90% of it. The feds keep 10%. But you have to keep it in a separate fund so they know what you use it for.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Really, what it is, it's the interest that's accumulated in each of the funds, the Department of Justice and the Department of Treasury has to be separate.
Does it have to be earmarked for specific purchases?
Yeah.
Would it be through the police department or?
Correct.
Safety department, something?
Has to all be police, has to all be law enforcement.
Well,
Thank
it can't be fire companies, it has to be police. Okay, second motion is, as we were discussing earlier this evening, this is a motion to ratify the November 22nd, 2017 seismic testing settlement agreement between Geokinetics USA Incorporated and the Municipality of Monroeville.
Council, any comments?
No comments. I think we've discussed that
Ad nauseum.
We're going to move over to resolutions. Mr. Little.
Okay, first one is, we have three resolutions for Tuesday evening. A resolution adopting the Center Road Plaza Sewage Planning Module. If you remember, this is the one obviously on Center Road. This was approved, I think it was...
Yeah, it's probably 3-4 months ago, we
This-
approved the
yeah.
site plan. This is just a follow-up with their sewage planning module.
This is across from Monroeville Methodist
Mom Church.
Correct.
Church.
Yeah, but
That's correct.
Center Road and Kenmore, right?
Kenmore.
Right,
Yeah.
Kenmore. I was trying to think of Kenmore. Okay, the second resolution is pursuant to Councilman Harvey. Last month, we were talking about a resolution to oppose House Bill 1620 entitled the Wireless Infrastructure Development Bill, which is, there is a bill which has been proposed by Representative, trying to remember his name, but in any event, what it would do, it would take away the zoning rights of the municipalities with respect to putting into our right-of-ways antennas, because the broadband right now is, everything is getting jammed up because everybody has, they're texting, and they have to put in smaller antennas, which look like telephone poles. This would take away the authority of the municipalities, and we're opposing this bill, as most of the municipalities in the Commonwealth are.
Does this also tie into what we have going with Cohen Law Group?
Exactly. I didn't
Thank
write
you.
his name down. I could find. But in any event, that's what this
Marcirelli.
resolution will go to the
She said it's
Pennsylvania
Marcirelli.
Boroughs Association, and opposing, and then it'll go to the local government commission, I believe, after that.
Okay.
All right, that's bugging me what the representative's name is. I have it right
Sharon
here.
thinks it's Marcirelli.
Nick Micciarelli.
Micciarelli.
Nick Micciarelli. He's
That's
from
pretty close.
Delaware County. He was the one that authored the bill.
You tell them to keep it in Delaware County. We're good over here.
Okay, third is a resolution authorizing the display of an event banner for the 2017 WPIAL 5A Football Champions, the Gateway Gators, on the bridge near Monroeville Mall over Route 22, William Penn Highway, within the right-of-way of property belonging to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. We have to pass this resolution because it's an isolated banner that we put up, and this goes to PennDOT.
So be it.
All right, let's move over to our ordinances. Mr. Ratcher.
We have some ordinances here tonight,
Yeah,
end of the year. An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville fixing the real estate millage for land, buildings, and structures for 2018. Any questions on that one?
And that millage rate is 4 mills. That's what we'd be voting on Tuesday, which would be the same as last year.
No increase.
No
If
increase.
not, we will go to the second one, an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville to provide for the adoption of a budget containing estimates of proposed revenues and expenditures for the calendar year beginning January 1, 2018. Any questions on that?
Yes, Council, I gave Council a memo the other day with respect to the changes that would be occurring in the budget pursuant to the budget hearings we had. The most significant one is for the public safety communication equipment, our project upgrading our public safety communication from VHF to UHF. And that is outlined in the memo that I gave to you. If Council has any questions on that.
Next is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville continuing the deed transfer, mercantile tax, business privilege tax, and local services tax pursuant to the Local Tax Enabling Act of 1965 as amended.
Council? Mr. Ratcher.
Next is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville adjusting the salary system structure of 2018.
Any comments? Mr. Ratcher?
And finally, I believe, an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville establishing the 2018 fee schedule.
Very good. Any other questions or comments on any of those items, Council? Seeing none, we're going to move over to our reports of municipal staff. Mr. Ratcher, since you have the floor, do you have anything else to add?
I'm all out of gas here.
All right. Good job. Tim?
Yeah, before I get in, I have about 6 things here, and there's only 2 here that'll will maybe take a couple minutes. But I just want to mention, with respect to the public safety communication equipment, we have not, we're getting a $100,000 grant from the Gaming Commission on that, as most of the people know. We have not received an official letter about getting that grant yet. We're still waiting for that, and most likely a resolution will have to be passed. So I thought we would have that for the December meeting. We do not. I outlined where the money is coming from on that at last month's meeting, and I can go over that again if council or the public would like me to, but I just wanted to let everybody know that we haven't received an official letter yet. The first thing I have here is the OPEB investment policy statement. I gave to council, which is from the OPEB meeting that we had with the OPEB committee and Representative Sarah Wilson from Marquette and Associates. And through discussions there, and this, council doesn't have to vote on it as a motion unless they want to, but just to keep council informed, the OPEB committee would like to change the investment policy statement because what they would like to do is basically, in the final analysis, is take some money from the bond funds, which are not doing as well. Stocks are doing well, but take money from the bond fund and put it into a real estate fund, which would only be about 7% of the OPEB money. We have approximately $5.8 million in our OPEB fund, and that would be about 7%, which I believe we figured is about $400,000. And that would change the investment policy. Council has a memo on that, and if council has any questions for me, or Nick is on the OPEB committee, and so is Steve and Tom. They're part
This
of
is
the.
a recommendation by
Yes,
Marquette?
this is, correct. This is a recommendation for Marquette.
Yeah, by the-
What we're trying to do is get a better return on our
I
investment.
totally, totally get that. Okay.
Okay, item number 2 is we have hired 4 police officers, and they will be attending I believe they're going to be attending the reorganizational meeting on January the 2nd?
Whatever January meeting we end up.
Yeah, the January, or the January 2nd at the reorg meeting. We have hired Jonathan Timmons, James Noble, Louis
Kukaro.
Kukaro, is that what you call it? Kukaro.
I know.
And Julian Senior. Okay, those are the 4 officers, and we welcome them to the staff. And my understanding is they're all getting outfitted right now. They've all signed their letters.
Start on the
And-
17th.
Yay.
December 17th they start.
The first real official day is the 18th, but they start on.
But December 18th.
The 17th is the Sunday.
Yeah.
Can't hear you, Chief. Yeah, I know. 18th. They start-
He said he knows.
Yeah, the chief can stay right there, he's perfectly fine. But
We're
just for
good.
the listening audience, December 18th, these 4 new officers will be starting, and we'll be swearing them in officially at our January meeting. Mr. Little.
Okay, item number 3 is just a reminder to the residents on refuse collection for the holidays. It's delayed 1 day, Christmas and New Year's, those weeks. Refuse and recycling are a day late, as with any other holiday. Item number 4 is, again, we have received the 2016 Government Finance Officers Association Award for the highest award you can get for financial reporting, and that is for the CAFR, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, that we have received. So kudos to Josie for that, and that takes a lot of work, and a lot of the stuff, the charts and graphs and everything that are in back of the CAFR are the reason why we get that award, and a lot of financial reporting goes into that.
Good job, Josie.
Nice
Thank
job.
you. Thank you.
Nice job. Thank you.
Okay, and one of the other things that I have to bring to council's attention is the Tricog Land Bank acquisition. Council has known we had, I think it was 3 in the beginning, of properties to be purchased by the land bank, and they are going to be purchasing 220 Poplar Street.
Hallelujah.
Okay, yeah, and I thought, Steve, you'd be delighted about that.
No.
But that means the what? The one on,
McKinney
was it
Road.
McKinney Drive?
Yeah, that's next.
Correct. That'll
That's
be
next
next
up. That's
up,
not going to happen
hopefully.
right now.
That one needs it too.
There's a lot that need it, but,
It's actually going to happen real
I know, but
early in
these particular
January.
ones have been on for
right,
quite some
but
time.
yeah, this is the one that was chosen for this year, just so that that's not misunderstood.
Yeah, and I just wanted to read verbatim here from the notice from the Tricog Land Bank. It says, if within 60 days of notice, the governing body of the municipality notifies the land bank in writing that if it objects to the acquisition by a supermajority vote, the land bank shall not be acquired as said real property. So that's why I'm bringing it to your attention. But
Thank you.
evidently, I assume everybody wants that to go through.
I hope so.
Okay, item number 6 is we had a ribbon cutting down at the Senior Citizen Center on Monday, and that was for the equipment, exercise equipment that was donated or purchased by, I believe it was Highmark, and it was a very nice affair. If you go, there you go. We have, there was the ribbon cutting ceremony of all the dignitaries, and there's our future mayor in the front there, and Jimmy Magaletta, the president.
Macaluso.
Macaluso. what I
Senior
call
staff.
Macaluso. Okay. And the senior staff, okay? Thanks, Joe. Okay.
Yeah, that was a donation by the Medical Executive Committee at Forbes, so not necessarily Highmark.
Highmark,
There's so many different bodies there. But it was the Medical Executive Committee, so basically they have a group of physicians that they meet regularly. And I was contacted by Dr. Rudin, who serves as the president of that group, and they were looking for projects in Monroeville. They would like to get back into the community more. I mean, they certainly are in the community, and they've been here about 40 years. They're getting ready to celebrate that. But they wanted to find some projects where they could fund, and so I sat down with Dr. Rudin, and we kind of threw a few things out there. They decided on the senior center, so Tara and her staff gave me some information. I presented to this group over at Forbes, and they were gracious enough to donate, it was about $25,000 for these few pieces of equipment for the senior center health fitness room. So big thanks to the executive committee and Dr. Rudin and to Forbes for being a good community member, and we look forward to keeping that relationship solid for our community. So, nice event.
Okay, one other item, just so the public knows, the agenda setting meeting, which is what we're attending right now, will not be on the first Thursday, which would be the 4th, I believe, in January, because because this is the first meeting after an election, and it's the reorganizational meeting. So the reorganizational meeting will be on Tuesday, January the 2nd, and the agenda setting meeting will be combined with the reorganizational meeting. So there will be no meeting on January the 4th. There will be a regular council meeting, which will be January the 9th. That is still at its regular time, but the agenda setting meeting will be on January the 2nd, which is a Tuesday, with the reorganizational meeting.
Very good.
Dave has a question.
I just said, look, does that mean there's no citizens meeting then before the?
No, we have a citizens meeting too.
It'll be the same. Yeah, we're having the same setup as we normally do for those meetings in January. Just we're moving from the Thursday, we're moving to that same Tuesday. That way, we're not coming back in the same week. We'll do it all in one shot. But it'll be advertised. It'll be on the website, on TV 15, and but we certainly will be having a citizens' night meeting in January on the 2nd.
Okay, that concludes my report.
Very good. And, Mr. Hugus.
No, sir.
Who else we picked on here?
Rosie.
Ms. Rock.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. And we're going to go with our council members. Mrs. Gatos, we'll start with you.
Okay, first thing I would like to do is wish Mr. Wilson a happy birthday.
Today.
Happy birthday.
Yes. So, happy birthday, Tom. Next, I would like to congratulate the Gateway football team for the fantastic year that they have had so far. Of course, we all are sending all of our best. Good luck for this Friday in Hershey. Safe travels to everyone. I think we also need to give thanks to the coaches, the cheerleaders, the band members, the families. The whole community, I think, has really, as Ms. Swarning said, has come together. And we have to also remember, it's not just the players. There's a lot of parts, moving parts to the whole thing that's happened. So, you know, I want to say thank you to everyone. I guess also just for myself, I want everyone to know that last week I was now 1 year smoke-free. And everyone's still alive that's around me, and yay, and so it's a good holiday thing. And speaking of holidays, happy holidays to everyone, and a special Merry Christmas. And the last time I have is the holiday cookie exchange that is happening at the Senior Center. That is going to take place next Friday, the 15th at 1 p.m. Bake your favorite cookies, bring 4 dozen cookies to share, and 2 dozen to eat. Cookies will be judged by members of the council, the senior council at the center, and prizes will be given to the best tasting and most creative cookies. They have to all be homemade. Don't be going to buy them somewhere like Moyo's and bringing them with you. So make sure you do. I'm guessing Mr. Cleary will be there. He loves to go to any eating event. That will be next Friday at 1 p.m. And I think they're asking for some volunteers from this council. So, but I mean, everything at the Senior Center is always fantastic anyway. So, you know, if nothing else, come to see the new equipment even. And thanks to Forbes for that. And I think that's all for this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Harvey.
The first thing I want to do is express my condolences to Mike Adams and his family for their loss. I can't say much more than that. I really feel for Mike and his family.
I can't even go there.
The second thing is that We talked about the resolution that we were going to file, or with the state, I guess, on House Bill 1620 concerning the wireless infrastructure. I thought we also were going to file one against House Bill 798, which was the municipal water system being given to the PUC. I thought I brought both those up last meeting, but
Yeah, you did. The Pennsylvania State Boroughs Association did not have a sample resolution on that. Now, I can get particulars and put one together if you want me to do.
I think we should. I don't think we want to give our water system to the PUC. That being said, I just wanted to wish everybody a happy and safe holiday, because I know we're going to get to say that again during the regular council meeting, but that's just in case I forget. And again, reiterating what Ms. Gator said, congratulations to the Gateway School District in general, the football team, everybody that supported them. That was a great accomplishment. And I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but my best wishes to Steeler Ranch this year. Tough times. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Mr. Johns?
Yes, sir. A couple things going on at the convention center. Steel City Con will be there December the 8th through the 10th. We're going to jump into January. Pittsburgh Boat Show will be there from January 12th through the 14th, also from the 19th through the 21st. And the Monroeville Home Show will be there the January 26th through the 28th. That's what's going on there. And I'm going to ask everybody to bear with me for a minute, because I don't normally chatty Cathy too much. But, well, I can't help it. I was asked to do this. It's December. Everybody's getting ready for Christmas, and I get it. I am the chairman of the Monroeville Parade Fireworks Committee. They have asked me, and I know we're talking about July, but I was asked to do it. Obviously, with the fireworks last year, were successful to a lot, unsuccessful to others, mostly because of the traffic. And we've listened a lot. And we've talked about it until we're blue in the face. And we're not sure what to do yet, but we're working on it. And I can tell you this, we're not going to go back to the park with the fireworks. Reluctantly, but we're not going to go. Everything will go as planned. We're in the process of moving the fireworks maybe to, we don't know yet. We've got to talk to Gateway or back to the mall. That's the two options we have by going out of the fireworks. We are working on still having a community day. So basically, you would have your parade like you always do, up till noon. We're trying to put together a community day at the park like we had last year, with the exception of the fireworks. And if we could coordinate that through the high school and they would let us back there again where we were before, you would be close to the community day event at the park and be able to see the fireworks at the school. So that's where we are, and there's some other stuff going on that we'll talk about later, but I just wanted to let everybody know that's where we are at the minute. And with that, I'm done.
Very good.
I just want to interrupt. I'm sorry. I just wanted to address what.
My turn. Mr. Clare, were you?
Oh, it was only you, so I'm not going to.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. Now, Dara called the Pennsylvania. My secretary called, and the House bill on the municipal water system going to the PUC is not out of committee yet. Okay, so if we want to, we can send a letter to the state rep. It should be Joe Marcosa.
Would that be us, though, or would that be the water authority?
Well, we can do it too. But
We can all both do it?
Both.
Okay, I'm
That
just
is true.
Only if you're
clarifying.
opposed to it. I'm
Yeah.
opposed to it.
Well, I understand that, but I wasn't sure.
Well, I think expressing your opposition to something like that is a good thing to do it early,
Yeah,
before it gets voted on up there.
might be better that way.
Maybe we should send that to Mr. Marcosa.
Okay.
Council, you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
My only question is, we don't own the water authority.
I just asked that question.
Yeah, the water
Catch
authority
it.
is a separate entity.
I'm catching.
Right,
us.
but we can still also
We
oppose.
could show support
That's,
or against or
that's
for.
right,
Yes.
exactly.
Gotcha. Okay,
But they
okay.
can also do the same thing down there.
Exactly.
So,
Got it.
yes.
Yeah, we'll get that sent in. Great.
I got one other thing that I left out.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Clary, is that all right?
I asked
Go
him, he
ahead.
said he don't care.
Okay. Mr. Johns, the floor is yours.
Santa's Kids, our event that we do every year, raising money for buying toys and gift cards for the families from Giant Eagle. Our event is this coming Monday. It's at Paul Mary's off Old Frankstown Road. I'm going to say this because it's a long story, but we have 200 guests coming this year. James Conner from the Steelers is going to be there. But more importantly, not that I don't like him, Billy Gardell is flying in from California, and we expect attendance to go through the roof. So just letting you know, it starts at 4:30 and goes to whenever.
Better get there
Always
about
remember,
2.
it's for the kids. I'm done this time.
Okay, Paul, you're up.
Mr. Clary.
Thank you. I don't have anything. I just want to wish my little baby girl a happy birthday. She just turned 2 years old.
Yay, happy birthday.
And with that, I will cede the rest of my time to my colleague, Steve.
Mr. Duncan.
Yeah, just quickly, I'd like to congratulate the Gateway football team, and lastly, my thoughts and prayers are with Mike and Rhoda Adams, family on the tragic loss of their son, Michael Peter. And there are no words to say. Their experience, their parents' worst nightmare. And I just hope the best for them all. That's all I have.
First of all, thank you for the birthday wishes. My heart goes out to Mike Adams and his wife and the rest of his family. Go Gators. And Wednesday night, I believe it's, what is it, 13th, Wednesday? 13th is the menorah lighting at the Miracle Mile Shopping Center at 6 p.m. So everyone's invited for that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. And I'll certainly echo Mr. Duncan's comments and condolences to the Adams family. The reorganization meeting that we are speaking of for January 2nd, I'll be in this seat permanently. Thanks to the voters. Now, what happens there is that I'll be vacating my second ward seat. Procedurally, how this works then, the remaining members of council would appoint someone to fill that seat for the remainder of that year. That person would have to run in the May primary election and then the November general election to fill the rest of my term. So that's only one additional year at that point. So now that person possibly could have those 2 years. Then he or she would have to run, if they would choose to, run again for then an additional 4-year term. So as far as appointments go, what we are seeking are letters of interest and resumes to be delivered to Mr. Little for council to review. And once we have the reorganization meeting, the seat is vacated, there is a 45-day window from when council has to place somebody in that position. So what I would ask Mr. Little is if we can get this information on the website, on TV 15, if we can start spreading the word about that. And then council, I would recommend we have some sort of a deadline for applications or for letters of interest. Perhaps we make it actually January 2nd meeting. Then that would give us ample time to, or the remainder of council, ample time to appoint somebody, perhaps as early as the regular council meeting in January or the regular council meeting in February. And I think even furthermore, we could even have a special meeting, we could call one specifically for that, anywhere within those 45 days. I believe if we go outside the 45 days, then we get into some issues with the state. So I think 45 days is plenty of time.
So if we have a special meeting, don't we have to advertise it?
Yes.
We would have to. Yeah, we would have to.
Let's try not to.
So, I mean, ideally, it'd be, I think if we could get someone in that seat.
Why don't we advertise that the applications have to be in by the end of the year? Then we can pick the meeting that we want to act on.
Well, can I ask you, isn't there not already a protocol for this? I mean, it's happened before.
No, I think it's just,
Is it loose?
well, I believe what it is, and Mr. Ratcher, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's just that we have, once the seat is vacated, whatever seat that may be as elected officials, we then have 45 days to place somebody in that seat.
We don't have to use the whole 45 days, though.
Correct, we don't have
But
to.
I think by February should be the latest.
Absolutely.
At the-
But what I want to make sure we're doing is giving the public, the second ward residents, enough time to, if anyone's interested, to get their applications in. But also, too, I also don't want to get to a point where maybe people didn't know and someone's getting appointed, and well, I didn't know about it. Well,
You're always going to get that.
right, but if we actually have a deadline for those applications, and that way.
Specifically.
It's always going to.
Well, hasn't that already been on the website, Mr. Little?
Second ward.
Yeah, we have.
It's been on the website, because I know I
Yeah.
shared it to Monroeville Community Cares page, to make it more aware. So I think it is currently already on the website. We
Well-
discussed it at last month's meeting or 2 months ago.
Yeah, we've been bringing that
Yeah,
up.
so I just,
Last month.
we are trying to keep everybody up to date, up to speed.
So I'd recommend, I mean, it's certainly up to council, as a whole, but I would recommend perhaps the January 2nd reorganization meeting, make that the deadline of when we'll take letters of interest and resumes, and that way that gives us time to act well within this 45 days.
Works for me.
Everyone
It's
okay with
good.
that?
Yep.
It's good.
Paul?
I don't care, I won't be here.
Aw, baby.
So, Mr. Little, if you could please just get that information on it.
Sure,
There actually
will do.
is a deadline,
Okay, January 2nd.
January 2nd.
January 2nd,
January 2nd.
Thank you.
4 o'clock, 4:30.
4:45.
All right.
Very good.
Whatever.
Okay, this weekend, Saturday, December 9th, the Garden City United Methodist Church is having a Stuff a Truck event for the victims of the hurricane in Puerto Rico. So it's Saturday, December 9th at the Garden City Plaza. That's across the street from the Garden City Methodist Church, United Methodist Church, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're looking for non-perishable foods, essential cleaning items. In critical need are water in boxes, baby food, Ensure, Pediasure, and then milk either in carton or powder form. And then they're hoping to get also some, as a Christmas request, to get new toys for children's up to 12 years old that do not need batteries, do not promote violence, and certainly no guns of any kind as far as toys go. And then they're going to be delivering these items through Methodist churches in Puerto Rico. They'll be having regional celebrations of Christmas down there and trying to help out. So that is this Saturday, December 9th, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Certainly, if anyone has any questions, to contact the Garden City United Methodist Church in Garden City. Sunday, December 10th, we have our Monroeville's, actually it's our 30th annual Holiday Light Contest from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. If you have your decorations up, make sure they are lit by the 10th of on Sunday. If you don't, you have a few more days to get that done. But at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., have your lights lit. The way this works is the rec department has representatives from each of the wards. Those individuals pick a champion from their ward on that evening. They'll each individually drive around their individual wards. So there'll be a champion per ward, and then on the next day, on Monday, then the entire board will drive to each of the individual ward winners to pick a grand prize winner for the year. So Sunday, December 10th, 6 to 9 p.m., and then certainly if you win, you'll be notified that evening as well to make sure that your lights are on for the next day as well. So all you need to do is just turn on your lights between 6 and 9 on Sunday. And that's sponsored by the Monroeville Recreation and Parks Advisory Board. Certainly if you have any questions about that, it's pretty self-explanatory, but if you do, please call the rec department and they can fill you in on everything. We're going to stick with the Recreation Department and Christmas. We still have, they are accepting letters to Santa. There's a mailbox actually here in the municipal building outside of the Recreation Department. There's also a mailbox as well in the library. Those are drop boxes. They're located there. And the letters will be sent special delivery to the North Pole. They'll definitely get there before Christmas. And Santa responds, every year will respond to each child's letter that he receives on or before. They're extending an extra week. It was going to be this Friday. I think they're going to extend it an extra week. So please get those letters. Parents, make sure that the child's name and return mailing address are legible, because Santa has a hard time with that sometimes. Okay. Ms. Rock, congratulations on the GFOA award. Fantastic job.
Thank
Way
you.
to go. Happy birthday to Mr. Wilson.
Thank you.
And then I'll echo Mrs. Gatos in saying, really best wishes to the football team, really all involved, the cheerleaders, the band members, all the parents that have been through everything, the coaching staff. It's really really exciting for the for the school, for the community. We really wish them the best. And once again, that will be televised on the PCN channel at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. Go Gators. And with that, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
See you and good night.